Are we talking just general chat here, or do you want me to hold your head and smooth your belly and understand your emotions and feelings?
I don't know what any of that you just said means. I would prefer it if you never touched my belly, and I don't have a smooth head. But let's get tactical. Let's pretend we're in a regular mentor-mentee situation. That way, in the audience, if you're a mentor, you can get some out of it, and if you're a mentee, you can get some out of it.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to define success by my success formula. I love formulas, as you know. And my success formula, which here's one I prepared earlier, is success is ambition times discipline times skills times opportunity.
Welcome to the Beyond Deadlines podcast, where we tackle challenges that planning and schedule leaders come across on a daily basis. My name is Micah, and I'm a scheduling manager for Intel.
My name's Greg Lawton. I'm the CEO of an AI schedule management company called Nodes and Links.
Each episodes, we give you strategies and tactics that you can use on a daily basis. Today, Greg is on the hot seat. He is mentoring a project planner who is looking for career growth, long-term career success. Greg, what advice would you give your mentee?
Okay, long-term career success. Are we talking just general chat here, or do you want me to hold your head and smooth your belly and understand your emotions and feelings?
I don't know what any of that you just said means. I would prefer it if you never touched my belly, and I don't have a smooth head. But let's get tactical. Let's pretend we're in a regular mentor-mentee situation. That way, in the audience, if you're a mentor, you can get some out of it, and if you're a mentee, you can get some out of it.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to define success by my success formula. I love formulas, as you know. And my success formula, which here's one I prepared earlier, is success is ambition times discipline times skills times opportunity. Okay? Ambition is obviously what you want to become, what direction, how much you want to work, how much you want to earn, those kinds of things. Discipline, are you actually disciplined enough to get the work done you needed to be able to achieve that? Skills, have you learnt the required skills, or are you learning the required skills to get to where you need to be? And then the opportunity is, you can have all of the ambition, the discipline, and the skills in the world, but if there isn't an actual opportunity to realize where you want to go, you ain't going anywhere. So we can pull on those four if you wish.
Yeah, let's say you laid out that high-level framework to your mentee, and I absorbed it. I said, great, thank you. That's super, super helpful. I'm doing well in my role right now, but I'm not sure how I kind of create my path forward into the future. How does that framework play out into first setting me up with potential roadmap? I just feel I don't know really what I'm doing. I'm not sure where I'm going.
Sure,
I can't really figure out what's my next step.
Okay, so let's steps are tactical, but we need strategy. And strategy is about irreversible choices. It's trade-off choices, essentially. So we need to start with ambition. A lot of people will say about starting with opportunity. Now, I prefer to start with, opportunity is external, you can't control it. Ambition is internal, you can control that. What's your ambition? How much do you want to earn? Give me a number.
I want to make $250K per year, and I want to be a planning manager of a large team at a large company.
By when?
I don't know, man. You're my mentor. You should tell me.
Okay, well, what are you, a junior planning manager? So you're on about 50, 60K
let's say
right
5
now?
years.
Yeah. 5 years. Okay, so you want to go from 50 to 250K in 5 years. First of all, it's absolutely doable. We've seen people do it before. So the ambition is there and the opportunity is there. So we've ticked those boxes. Skills.
Let's hold on, but a second. Let's peel that back for a second. How do we know that because when I think of ambition, just thinking of a role or something that I want, potentially in the future, that I think that starts to form ambition. But I feel like ambition's a powerful word. There's passion and there's drive. I think you mentioned discipline in your formula. How do I know that I have the right ambition for it?
So ambition, I use the word ambition because ambition is incredibly personal. If I'm mentoring someone, I am not their father. It is not on me to steer the course of their life. As a mentor, my job is to ask them adult questions. Give me somewhere you want to be. To challenge them with adult questions. And then, if I can, to help guide them on a path to get there. It is not to hold interventions with their auntie and their uncles at the weekend or remind them that it's grandma's birthday. I would say that ambition is incredibly personal, and you either have ambition or you don't, and it changes over time, by the way. So you might not have ambition today, but tomorrow you might. It doesn't just emerge. Ambition is created from compelling life events, generally in my experience. So either you've got incredibly ambitious parents that have given you that drive as a child, or you've had an experience in later life that has given you a new perspective that puts you in a different direction. But to ask the question, like, how do you know you have the right ambition? There's no such thing as the right ambition. It's just, you're an adult in a world where you have to look after yourself. Make your damn mind up.
Role models play key into my ambition personally. And those role models can be either people I personally know, but then also people that I don't know. There's quite a few individuals outside of the construction industry that I see as role models who are doing things that provide me ambition in my own vertical. That can also, I think, help out as well. So let's move a little bit. So we geared in on that ambition. We have a little bit of a long-term plan or objective or goal. The mentor's like, all right, Greg, well, what's the next step? I got to wake up tomorrow. I got to go into site. I got to get some project status. I got to enter it in the schedule, print off some reports. What am I doing outside of that to really start getting me up those steps?
Okay, so we've ticked ambition, we've ticked opportunity. We've got discipline and skills. The first thing I'd say is, do you know the different routes? Do you know the different routes from getting from the 50, 60K job where you are now to that 250K job? The answer is probably going to be no.
I don't, Greg. Can you enlighten me?
And at which point I would enlighten you. I would suggest, first of all, you go and listen to the Beyond Deadlines podcast and just find the episodes where we explain all the different routes that you can go. The easiest way of doing that within the organization we're in, go and talk to the people in that position and ask them how they got there, and then say something like, I really admire you, and where you are is where I would like to be. How would I do this in the company looking over a grand period of time? Like, what jobs are they? And get evidence from a number of people about the different moves you make. They're going to give you a plethora of options. What it generally will look like is a reverse pyramid. Your next step will be very obvious. If you're on, 50, 60K, your next step is going to be the next grade up. There's no real
junior to senior. Go.
Yeah, junior to senior.
It's always junior to senior.
When you start getting senior, it might start spreading out. You don't need to worry about that until, you're a senior scheduler anyway. So, I'd be like, you need to get to senior. That's the first step you need to make. And then let's boil that down one more level. Okay. Micah, do you know what senior schedulers do?
I don't. I mean, I haven't, Greg. I thought about asking some people, and I see the work they do out there, but I haven't fully experienced or know what they're doing. What's different than me? It seems like they maybe work on bigger scopes and have a little bit more responsibility, but I'm not sure.
Cool. So how about you go to them and you say, I really admire what you're doing. I have an ambition of getting to where you are at some point in my career. can you just tell me about what exactly your responsibilities are? How do you know you've done a good job? And how might I, in as a junior person, get to where you've got to? Ask 10 people, write it all down and see if there's some common themes. And then go to HR and get a job description. Say to them, I've got an ambition to do this, and I just want to know from my own knowledge, what are the roles and responsibilities what are the responsibilities and skills I will need to do that job? And they should give you, if they've hired them, they will have the job descriptions. They will give you the job description, and it'll say what skills you need, and it'll say what responsibilities you're responsible for. And at that part, let's say we've got to that part now, Micah, and you're like, wow, okay.
Well, let's do a quick tip, because there's a lot of people who don't end up working at large companies that have HR departments. Maybe you found yourself into a smaller company. You can do everything that Greg is explaining, but just do it outside of your company. There are a gazillion senior schedulers out there on LinkedIn who would be happy to describe to you what they did to get to that next level. And you can just stay pretty much in industry. So if you're in oil and gas or data centers or nuclear or whatever industry you're in, just find some people and then have them describe that to you, because these strategies and tactics will work for you all the same.
Totally agree. And the other one is our friend Chirag, who runs the headhunting firm. If you probably need a job description, drop him an email. He has hundreds.
Yeah, we'll put Chirag's contact info in there, and shout out to Chirag. Yeah, Chirag. Hey, hopefully
shout
he does. Hopefully he doesn't mind.
Emails. You're welcome, Chirag.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's imagine now that you've done that, and you're like, okay, I've asked a load of people. I've got the job description. My simple question to you as a mentor, prove to me you can do all of those skills. And if you can't do them, highlight to me which ones you can't do. So you'd go through that list and go, truthfully, and I'd hold you to account. I'd be like, you can't do that. That's not evidence. Like, I thought about it on a Sunday. It's not evidence.
Let's say I have the analysis down, I have the technical skill down, but I'm not managing what I feel is large enough scope, and I'm also not managing critical, high important meetings. I'm still the person who's being fed information, working on smaller areas, and I'm right now just not taking over more scope and being more visible within the company.
Okay, let's target the second first, because that's a lot easier. Could you give me an example of an important meeting that would satisfy that?
The monthly update to the client. The current planning manager runs the entire meeting, even though he covers my specific section. And I believe I could cover my section in that meeting. It would allow me to get good visibility and also be able to get me into a position to eventually take over that meeting potentially.
Tell me about this planning manager. Is this individual a respectable and kind person?
His name's Greg, and so no. Just kidding.
It's not at all.
This is a guy, he keeps on writing formulas on all the boards and is like, check out this new formula I got. Now, let's say he is, and but I haven't had any career conversations with him, and I haven't really expressed a lot of, what my, I've just been working with you on what my roadmap is and what I want to do. I haven't really talked to him about it, but I do think he's an open individual.
Beautiful. Okay. And there's for everyone listening here, there's a thread here, which is the ability to ask for help. That is a key thing. I'd say, you could go and say, hi, Greg, I present in the meetings. And he's like, yes. And be like, look, I've been doing a lot of thinking about where I want to go in my career. And without going too much into it, what you're doing, you're kind of a role model for where I want to start getting to. One of the skills that I'd love to develop is the ability to present like you do. Would you mind if I take notes in how you do it, and then after those meetings, maybe I reflect those back to you to see if I've understood what you're doing correctly, and then maybe at some point, if it's okay with you, you might suggest to the client that I just take 1/3 of a meeting and we can call it a development opportunity and just see how I do. And then at the end, give feedback. And if you do all of that, I'll buy you a coffee. Is that something that you'd be interested in helping me with? So
that's perfect. Slam dunk to me.
Yeah. That's why I said, but is this person respectable and kind? Because if they're playing a very heavy corporate game, that's generally the only reason they say no.
Hey, hold on. Let's keep our optimistic hats on. Everything is butterflies and roses out here. That person eventually one day is going to get sick. That person's going to travel, want to take a vacation. There's always a backup, and you need a backup for a backup.
And to be honest, the way that I phrased that, I have never seen a group of people think negatively of a senior manager who's come into a meeting and said, gentlemen, ladies, I'd just like to try something a little different today. I'm wanting to develop some of our junior members of staff, and I'm going to give the first 5 minutes to Micah. And what I would love is for us all just to pay attention, and at the end, if you're feeling like it, to give constructive feedback if you wish. Is this something that we could all accept for 5 minutes? There's going to be no one in that room that goes, like, what a terrible person.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be a horrible person to probably be like that.
Exactly.
So all the people out there who are managers in leadership positions, find opportunities to get other people involved to help develop the skill sets. People who are trying to develop their skill sets, you got to ask. You got to formulate ways to try and get in and build those skill sets which you don't have. Strengthen those muscles. And that way you can demonstrate those skills. And then those skills are going to lead to other skills and so forth. Now,
for the managers
let's get back to the formula.
This is a skill, by the way. For the managers as well, this is a skill. The skill is leadership and development. And all managers listening to this know that there are people who think they're good who are terrible, and then the people who are actually genuinely bad and know they're bad probably aren't in management.
We have each of one of those on this call right now. We just don't know which one's which.
And then there's actually people who are very good and are trying to be better, and as they're trying to progress up into more advanced leadership positions, it is not technical skill that's going to do that. It's going to be employee satisfaction surveys and employee support, plus peer support and senior support, etc. It's going to be a political move.
I think, I'm trying to remember back to the formula, I think there was determination.
Ambition, opportunity, discipline, and skills.
Discipline, the other D word. Talk to me about discipline. Let's jump into that, because I feel that's probably where we're at ballpark in this conversation. We've got this grand plan. We have a couple opportunities. We have some skills we can grow. Seems to me probably the next step is discipline. Discipline means a wide range of different things to different people right now. Let's talk about the D.
Discipline in this context is about consistency. Consistency of action. So we've all been there where we said, we're going to New Year's Revolution, we're going to go to the gym. And we go for 2 weeks and then we stop. Okay? That is not discipline. Discipline is doing things when you don't want to do them. Parents know this very well. There's no option. You just have to deal with it, even though you don't really want to. And the backdrop there is you love your children and you'll get arrested if you don't. So here, this is about, okay, we've identified all these actions. There needs to be an absolute acceptance that there's no choice other than to do them and to do them consistently. And if you don't do them consistently, you physically can't sleep. So it's like, I literally cannot go to sleep until I have done what I promised to do. And it just has to be a repetitive action across time. And generally the rule is about 100 days. Once you've done 100 days of repetitive action, it actually becomes addictive and it becomes a habit. And then it becomes very easy. So like, how do people who go to the gym every single day for 7 years do it? Well, actually, they only really had to try for the first 100 days. And then after that, it became an addiction. Now, you can have good and bad addictions, pushing ahead in your career, making sure you're home by 5 for your family. That can be an addiction. Going to the gym, these can be positive addictions. And I'd actually say that discipline here is about developing positive addictions, which is about consistent action across time.
Your number one resource for me to this is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote the foundational piece on this. That is easily a top 5 book that I would recommend anyone should absolutely read. The biggest thing for me on that, the discipline piece, would be just 2 strategies I've found immensely helpful. The first one is whatever you're trying to build up, you make it very small and easy to do. And so whatever you think that first task is, you make it super, super simple and small. So instead of saying, I'm going to lead the project meeting, the entire thing every month or every week, and you take over this massive task of skill you're going to build, just take something smaller. I'm going to take this small section, make it easy as you start to build that muscle and strength up. Because, just similar to like people going to the gym, they'll go in and run 10 miles and they can't lift their legs or feel it. And then it just becomes this daunting task instead of saying, I'm just going to go to the gym and walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, I can do 5 minutes. The second one that I took from James Clear on the discipline piece is a lot of people want to get into like that tricky system app. What do you use for this? How do you do this and that? And what he says is the biggest force of change is actually your mentality and how you approach it. So who do you think you are yourself? And this goes kind of back almost a little bit to your ambition piece. But are you someone who is already seeing themselves as a senior scheduler who is leading meetings? Do you have that identity yet? And if you can form that identity, that will help shape your habits even more. Going back to that gym example, like what decisions and actions would someone take who does go to the gym all the time? Well, they'd probably lay out their clothes the night before and be all ready, and they would go and they would make it work and figure it out. That's similar to this situation where I found people, if you can shift your identity, it really helps empower that discipline. And so, yeah, highly recommend reading the Atomic Habits. I could talk for hours on that book because I think it's just such a pivotal piece. But those are 2 specific strategies I think will really help elevate your game.
I love the second one, by the way, because you and I have seen this. The biggest difference between a junior scheduler and a senior scheduler because typically junior schedulers are younger than senior schedulers, and they definitely have less responsibility, is that junior schedulers behave like young adults and senior schedulers behave like responsible adults. So you won't generally see senior schedulers, making silly jokes in the office. And you won't see them going, I'm just going to cut off at 4 o'clock because I can't be bothered. Like, they have responsibilities. And the people who progress the fastest are the people who, and in inverted commas, this is how people see it, act professional.
Yeah.
Acting professional is about actually acting the grade and the responsibility that you have. So I love that second piece. I love it.
Okay. So we've hit the discipline piece. Do we miss any other components of the formula?
Opportunity, I think. I think there's a word about opportunity here. So there's different kinds of opportunities. There's from what I'll call local opportunities, which is things like a role has opened up. There's obviously market-wide opportunities, which is this role exists in the market. But there's something really interesting happening right now, which is generational opportunities. So, and I'm doing a lot of reading on this right now, which is when shifts happen to markets that are so substantial that they throw into flux the current way of doing, which enables opportunity to become proficient at the new way of doing, where everyone is starting at 0 again. So you don't have super senior people at 100, they revert back to somewhere near 0. And in the banking world, this was the internet. So payments and transactions changed. So people who specialized in over-the-counter service, it's a negative opportunity. It was a decline, but people who specialized in IT, there was a lot of opportunity there. Anyway, in scheduling and project controls now, you and I know that the generational opportunity is in artificial intelligence and all of the infrastructure that surrounds it. So things like data center builds, energy builds actually to power the data centers, chip fabrication facilities to provide the chips to build the data centers. So I would say that not only is there opportunity nowadays for I want to go from junior to senior, I think there's opportunity to think about the market you want to be in and the specific skill sets you develop to deliver the job. So do you learn how to use Excel to generate an S-curve, or do you learn prompt engineering to get a piece of generative technology to do your S-curve for you? I think that's very interesting.
I think you go back in time. You go old school. You buy one of those things, the little abacuses and the wooden pieces, and you go retro. You buck the trend. I like that. I like how you put the. So to me, though, that's the layer of that cake is macro opportunities, and you were just starting to kind of get into some of the micro opportunities that are out there. And I think I've always looked at opportunity in the last couple of years is how many chips can I put out there on a roulette table that could potentially hit?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So roulette's the game with the spinning wheel, you put your money on it, and not all opportunities are going to pan out, but what are some high leverage ones that are low stakes to enter and putting those chips out? And the wild part about your formula is you got to have the ambition and the discipline and the skill to put more of those chips out on the roulette table. So, for example, you brought up prompt engineering. There is going to be a real need for prompt engineers in the construction space.
Mm-hmm.
Is the space right now overflowing with jobs and careers for that? No, not right now. But you have to be able to start putting those chips out there, putting in the time and the effort to build up that skill set to then be a leader in that space. That's why I always thought that's how I kind of like that. Oh, how many chips am I going to put out there? Now, something crazy could happen and that chip may not hit, but what else do you have out there that's going to help enable that? And then for opportunity, I like to look at what that enables. So you learn how to prompt, you can figure out Power BI. There's a ChatGPT channel, multiple ChatGPT channels right now that are literally P6 guides. People out there have took P6 manuals and P6 how-tos. They've loaded them up onto ChatGPT, and you can type any question in the world to technically get information out of P6. But you need to know how to write question, right? So it's this matter of time where the dominoes are starting to fall. And if you're not out there strengthening these skills and building them, you're just going to be with the horde of other people, right? Who are just in the pack, going along and picking these up later. And, I finally figured out this skill. So to me, I love the example of prompt engineering, and I like people who go out there and put chips on the table.
Well, on the chips on the table point, there's this thing around opportunity, and we don't have time to really go into it now, but fundamentally one component of opportunity is asymmetry of information. So, people who are putting their chips on the prompt engineering, do they know for sure what exactly is going to pan out? No. No one else does either. But by getting into it, they can start to understand and actually get much more of a clarity of where it's going to go and then position themselves. Whereas everyone else... Now, a typical scheduling role, let's say it was a remote scheduling role. So let's say that 100,000 people can apply for it. Like, how much opportunity is there in that? Well, you're going to be really hard pressed to stand out from that crowd because of the competitive nature. So I would look at opportunity here and on two axes, which very relates to risk management. I'd look at it as the amount of benefit it provides, so the promotion, the wage, or whatever it is, or the more skills I can learn, versus how hard it's going to be to get it. Like you and I were speaking to Matt Crass the other week, talking about prompt engineering. You and I know you can literally Google prompt engineering course, and Google has free prompt engineering courses. So the difficulty of access is basically zero. It's just being disciplined and having an hour
Just
of doing
ambition.
that rather than watching
Just
TV.
ambition, skill. Yeah,
That's it.
baking the time. Now, hold
The
on. Let me
benefit,
give a shout
you
out
don't know.
here. Beyond Deadlines, our newsletter also has one safe for work prompt each week. So safe for work prompt, what is that? Most companies that you're working at do not want you to be taking a bevy of their information and putting it on ChatGPT. They may have even blocked ChatGPT or said specifically, please don't do that. So what we came up with are a series of prompts where you don't need to actually use your company's data, but you can still get immense value out of these AI chatbots. So for example, we had a prompt last week, teach me how to learn Power BI. And these prompts are specifically designed to help walk you through whatever the prompt is. We have a very specific formula we used here. This isn't your one-off little sentence prompts. We've spent a whole host of time trying to figure this out. We have ones that tell you how to compare two different schedules, but not use your company's data. So if you're interested in picking up prompt engineering, you can start with our newsletter. There's other resources out there as well that you can go sign up for, but ours are specifically designed for construction planning and scheduling. And also, yeah, do take the Google course. We'll link it in there. Matt Krask is the head of Google Project Controls for Google Data Centers. And if you didn't watch that episode, definitely check it out previously. Greg, any final thoughts, or do you need to type your prompt into ChatGPT to have it provided to you?
No, well, I'm going to break a rule, Micah. I'm going to break a rule. If people want to play with some prompt engineering, there's a certain AI schedule management company's website they could go to and do it for free. That's yes. Already got preloaded schedules in, P6 schedules, and they can ask it to do analysis.
You forgot about our news. This is awkward. This is getting awkward because you forgot about our newsletter and I forgot about nodes and links. So we are all equal here. Yes, I have been using the nodes and links. Here's another resource. We're just hitting you with resource. Do we charge money for certificates that you're going to never use? No, we're just giving you free value, folks. Loads and loads of free value. So to go along with it, yes, Nodes and Links has a brilliant AI chatbot in it, which you can start using right away to figure out, okay, what would I prompt a tool with, an actual construction analysis, schedule analysis tool with? It is a perfect way to get your feet wet, right? Take your ambition, take your skill, take your, I forgot the D already, discipline, and go give it a shot. Always. Yeah. I mean, well, these formulas, I got to get them tattooed on my arm. Anyways.
I got a lot of them. Well, thank you very much. That's Mike has been very nice by giving a shout out. The general rule is no shout outs, but I'll finish up. We got to
start breaking that rule more. I mean, whatever. Maybe maybe Nodes and Links can sponsor an episode, and then we can just make this more official.
Potentially, you and I do this for the love of it, and the thousands of people who listen, which is very nice, actually. We get an email every week just saying how nice it is for us to do this, and that's all it is. So, some final thoughts. What I put on this, because we are talking about mentoring, and I'll bring it back. I'll just say, the final thought is this. I did an MBA a number of years ago. Nobody needs to do an MBA. I'm going to summarize an entire MBA for you here. Buy a book on economics, buy a book on business strategy, look at frameworks. Everything can be a framework, and a framework is just a way of breaking a bigger problem down into a smaller problem. The big problem here is I want to achieve success. The formula in inverted brackets is ambition, discipline, skills, and opportunity. It's just a way of framing how to solve a problem. You listening to this might have thought of other things you'd like to add for the formula. Might have thought of other things. I say formula as a funny word. It's just a way of really thinking. I like formula because it has add, minus, times, and divide. And as you're thinking about these things, like, for example, I'll set a challenge to anyone listening. Is there anything in the success formula that's a divide? That if you do more of it, it massively reduces your success. So I'd leave this as a final thought, which is people listening to this, start thinking in frameworks because it makes tackling business problems a lot easier.
My brain is just a cage of ping pong balls if you've ever gone to a bingo hall of just things shooting around in it. And I find just formulas and frameworks help direct the ping pong balls down one alley much faster. You don't have to think about how the whole world works and solving for every single problem. It's just boom, 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 boom. And I think that really helps for anybody who has a ball, ping pong bingo hall ball going in their brains like me. Definitely highly recommend it. There's another book that I read years ago called The Personal MBA. I'll link it in the show, that walks through everything you'd learn in an MBA course. Not saying you shouldn't go out there and get one, but this book costs $5. You can rent it from your library for free. And then you can see if you're actually interested in any of the topics that will be covered in an MBA. But maybe you just want the fancy little letters after it. Who knows? Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Ooh, Greg looks like he's going to say something. Since we're breaking rules, I'll let you say two final things if you want.
Well, I was just commenting on that. People only really need to do MBAs once they've hit head of project controls or head of scheduling, because at that point, skills morph from practitioner and management skills into finance and business skills, and actually that's really when you get into accounting and finance loading. So I'd say feel free to buy a book. Don't really put too much work on it until you're head of.
Yeah, I agree. You can get companies to pay for it as well. And then you need to be looking at what's your next career change opportunity that you're looking to get into. Find some of those roles. Look at if that's a minimum qualification. You know, a lot of people sometimes build up the thought in their mind of qualifications they need to have. And then you look at the job posting, it's like, that's not needed. You just needed 15 years of planning and scheduling experience. You didn't need an MBA. But for us this week, I love this episode so far. If you could do us a favor, please subscribe to the show and share with your friends and coworkers. Hey, how about this? How about you have a lunch and learn at your company and discuss a Beyond Deadlines episode? Start a book club. And if you do, reach out to one of us and we will come and talk at it. Happy to do that if you would like to. We're just trying to promote Beyond Deadlines. We're trying to improve planning and scheduling. And we're looking for interesting ways to do it. So for us, and this week, have a good one.